Welcome back, everyone. We're ready for another deep dive.
Ready to go.
Awesome. Today, we're going to be looking into Ripley's, believe it or not.
All right.
Now, this is going to be a really interesting one because I feel like almost everybody has heard of Ripley's, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you've probably seen those auditoriums.
Absolutely.
On a boardwalk somewhere or...
Roadside attraction kind of.
Roadside attraction, yeah. Exactly. But what we're going to be doing today is actually taking a look at, beyond just those exhibits, right?
Mm-hmm.
Taking a look at the history, the different ways that Ripley's has been presented in the media.
Okay.
Through television, through books, through radio, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And even looking at some of the more outlandish claims and controversies surrounding Ripley's.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, Ripley's is so fascinating to me just because it's all about that sense of wonder and that curiosity, right? And I think, for over a century, they've been showing us a world where, the impossible seems possible.
Right.
And, it makes you think differently about what you believe, and it reminds us that truth is often stranger than fiction.
Yeah. And that's definitely something that we're going to get into.
Oh, right.
But before we do, let's actually start at the beginning.
Let's do it.
And this is something that I found very interesting when I was doing research for this.
Okay.
Because I had no idea that Ripley's actually began as a sports cartoon.
What?
Really?
Yes, I didn't know that.
It was in 1918, and it was called Champs and Chumps.
Oh, wow.
And it was all about, sports.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even necessarily about...
Like straight sports reporting.
No, not at all.
Okay.
It was like, incredible feats
Okay.
and athletic achievements that were kind of like outside of the norm.
Okay.
But that's so different from shrunken heads and two-headed calves.
Yeah, that's a far cry from what we think of when we think of Ripley's today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do we get from there to there?
Well, what's really cool is that within that, simple, seemingly simple sports cartoon,
right.
Robert Ripley, the guy behind all of this, he stumbles upon something really captivating.
Okay.
And that was that people are just naturally fascinated with the unusual, with the unbelievable.
Yeah.
The things that make you go, huh, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So how did that change manifest itself?
So a year later,
Okay.
Champs and Chumps changed its name
Okay.
to Believe It or Not in 1919.
Wow, okay.
And that's when it really shifted to focusing on these bizarre facts
Right.
and curiosities from all over the world.
And this is well before the internet.
Right. Think about that.
So this is like the way that people were being exposed to these kinds of crazy things.
Right. It was a sensation. I mean,
Right.
for a lot of people, Ripley's was like this window into this whole world of stuff that was beyond their everyday experiences.
Oh, yeah.
It had amazing people, strange animals, weird natural phenomena.
Yeah, and it was all in like the newspaper.
Right there.
Where they could pick it up.
Yeah. It was like holding a piece of the extraordinary.
Exactly.
Right in your hands.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, in doing research for this, I learned that for over 50 years, Ripley had this secret weapon.
Oh.
Which was a dedicated researcher named Norbert Perlroth.
Norbert Perlroth. Okay.
And this guy
yeah.
basically lived in the New York Public Library.
Okay.
And his whole job was to unearth fascinating facts.
Wow.
To give to Ripley.
So he was like a fact detective.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
He was like the detective of weirdness.
That's pretty cool.
I know.
Yeah.
And, he was a master at finding these, hidden gems of strangeness. He'd pore over all these books and manuscripts.
Yeah.
And he...
I'd like to imagine, coming across, this one little factoid buried in, some obscure historical account and just going, aha!
Yeah, exactly.
And this is perfect.
Do you have an example?
Oh, yeah.
Of one of these little jams?
So one of the things that he discovered was involving this guy who went over Niagara Falls in a barrel.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that.
Twice.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
And, I bet you... he found that just buried in some random book.
Exactly.
And it just perfectly embodies, the spirit of Ripley's.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Now, we've got this sports cartoon, right?
Right.
Then it kind of evolves into Believe It or Not.
Yeah.
But it didn't stop there, right?
Oh, no.
Because Ripley's is everywhere.
It just exploded.
It's in so many different forms of media.
Yeah, it became like a media empire.
Yes,
right.
It really did.
Branching out into radio, books, comic books.
Right.
Can you imagine Charles Schultz, the creator of Peanuts?
Right. Yeah.
got his start with Ripley's drawing this cartoon about his dog, Spike, that ate razor blades.
No way. Really?
Yeah.
The dog that inspired Unupi.
I know.
Ate razor blades.
Wild.
That's so strange.
But it's, it's a good reminder that, like, even the strange and whimsical can lead to these, like, beloved pop culture icons.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we've talked about the print media, but Ripley's also made its way to film.
They did.
Didn't they make short films?
Yeah. As early as the 1930s, Ripley's was making these short films for Warner Brothers, Vitaphone.
Okay.
And they showed all kinds of oddities and incredible stories. And these shorts were really popular, helped to make Ripley's even more famous.
Yeah.
But there's another layer to this that I think is really fascinating.
Oh, okay. Tell me.
So some of the shorts, they even inspired parodies.
Okay.
Warner Brothers created a cartoon called Believe It or Else, which poked fun at the whole Ripley's concept.
Oh, wow.
And even featured, like, a prototype Elmer Fudd.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So they're already being parodied.
I know. It's amazing.
In the 1930s.
It just goes to show how deeply Ripley's had, like, permeated the pop culture that even the people who are making fun of it are still fascinated by it.
Exactly. It's like, it's a testament to their success.
Yeah, it's like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah. When you get parodied, you've made it.
Exactly. And, what's funny is the parodies themselves helped to introduce Ripley's to, like, an even wider audience.
Right.
So
because more people would have seen the parody than the actual thing.
Maybe it really helped to solidify their presence in the cultural landscape.
So we've got, Ripley's in all of this different media.
Yeah.
But I think what really comes to mind for most people,
I think so too,
when they think of Ripley's, are the auditoriums.
Oh, absolutely. Right. The auditoriums are like the quintessential Ripley's experience.
Yeah. Because they're so weird.
They're like immersive experiences that just overwhelm you with the strange and wonderful thing. You're not just reading about shrunken heads. Yeah. You're like right there with them.
Yeah. You're standing next to them.
It's amazing.
I know. And it's like stepping into a world where, like, reality is blurred.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
And even the architecture.
Anna, tell me about it.
Like the buildings themselves is strange.
Like you've got one that looks like it's sinking into a sinkhole.
And then there's one with a plane crashing into it.
Right.
It's so crazy.
It's amazing.
It's like the buildings themselves are unbelievable.
They embody the unbelievable.
Yeah, they really do.
They're like daring you to accept the impossible.
Exactly.
It's fantastic.
Now, before we get deeper into these auditoriums, I think it's important to talk about Ripley's relationship with truth.
Okay.
Because, while they have showcased some really incredible things, not all of their claims have,
oh, absolutely,
stood the test of time.
Not everything's been completely accurate. Right. Yeah, and it's interesting because it raises questions about how we view truth and, the power of a good story.
Yeah, and, this is something that's very relevant, I think, today.
Especially in today's world of information overload.
Yes.
Where it's so hard to tell what's real and what's not.
Exactly.
So I think it's important to be a critical thinker.
Yes.
Especially when things sound almost too good to be true.
Yeah.
It's really important to, like, double check things,
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, take the story of Frank Tower.
This
guy who supposedly survived the sinking of the Titanic, the Empress of Ireland, and the Lusitania.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. I remember reading about that.
Right.
Like, it's crazy.
It's like a real-life Final Destination movie,
Yeah.
But it turns out there's no evidence
that
a Frank Tower even existed.
Wow.
Let alone survived all three disasters.
That's so disappointing.
I know, right? It's like such a good story.
Yeah. It's too bad it's not true.
I know, but
it's like that thing, like the myth that the Great Wall of China is visible from the moon.
Oh, yeah, that's another one.
That Ripley's mentioned.
Yeah, they definitely promoted that one.
Yeah.
But astronauts have confirmed that you actually can't see any man-made structures from the moon.
Yeah, you need like a really powerful telescope.
Exactly.
Or something,
right? Yeah.
So,
it makes you wonder.
Yeah.
Why are we so drawn to these impossible stories?
I mean, I think part of it is that, as humans, we're curious.
We're
curious, yeah.
We're wired to look for new things.
Right.
And especially things that are, like, extraordinary.
Yeah, things that kind of, like, challenge our understanding of the world.
It's exciting.
Yeah, and it's
to find something.
Like, even if they're not true,
yeah,
these stories give us a sense of wonder and possibility.
It's like a break from the ordinary.
Yeah, exactly. It's like escapism.
Yeah, a little bit of fantasy in our lives.
Yeah, and I think,
yeah,
Even when...
Even if we find out later
Yeah.
that it wasn't true,
Right.
there's still that excitement of discovery.
Yes.
You know?
We learned something.
We went on a journey to uncover the facts.
And, I think it's a good reminder that it's not about blindly believing everything you hear.
No, not at all.
It's about having that open mind.
Yes.
That sense of wonder. That the world can still surprise us.
Absolutely.
That there are things out there.
Yeah.
That we don't know.
And that we can learn from.
Yeah. And Ripley's does a really good job.
I think so, too.
Of kind of like encouraging us to be curious, to question.
But keep exploring even when the truth is maybe a little less exciting.
Yeah.
That process of learning is so valuable.
It is. Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why Ripley's continues to be popular.
Yeah, I agree.
It's because it has this really unique blend.
It's like entertainment and education.
Yes. Exactly.
Wrapped up in one.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like they're entertaining us.
Yeah.
But they're also...
But they're making us think.
Making us think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're celebrating the strange and the wonderful.
And encouraging us to see the world in a new way.
Yes.
You know?
Now, we've talked about some of the earlier forms of media that Ripley's has been involved in.
Yeah, like the short films.
The short films, yeah.
Yeah.
But they didn't stop there.
Oh, no, I dove headfirst into television.
Yeah. And the first, believe it or not, TV series premiered in 1949.
Wow.
And it was hosted by Ripley himself.
No kidding.
I know.
That's amazing.
But sadly, he passed away.
Oh.
Shortly after the launch.
Okay.
But the show continued with guest hosts.
Okay.
And then in the 80s, Jack Palance took over as host.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
For a revival.
With that, spooky theme song that just got stuck in your head.
I know. And the show was really cool.
Yeah.
Because it followed that same kind of Ripley's formula.
Yeah. The unbelievable from around the world.
Yeah. And it's so interesting how they took the concept from the panels and the shorts and just adapted it
to TV.
It's really
cool how it
seamless.
translates so well. Yeah. And, it just shows how timeless that, believe it or not, formula is, you know?
And it didn't stop there.
No.
There were tons of revivals.
Right.
With different hosts.
Different networks, different hosts.
Yeah. But they always kept that same Ripley's
DNA. Right.
Like, no matter the decade, no matter the platform.
There's something about that mix of weird facts and captivating stories.
And that little dash of the macabre.
Yeah. That's what makes it so interesting.
Yeah, and it's not just limited to TV either.
No, they've done radio, comic books, video games.
Oh, my gosh.
Remember that old point-and-click adventure game?
Yeah.
Ripley's Believe It or Not, The Riddle of Master Luke.
Oh, yeah. I love that game.
It had that, classic 90s adventure game feel.
Yes.
But with, all that Ripley's weirdness mixed in.
It was so good.
It was a good one, yeah.
And that's, again, another example.
They adapt the different media,
yeah.
but still keep their identity.
Yes.
You know?
Now, in addition to all of that,
yeah,
they also made, educational content.
They did.
Like the Ripley's Twists series.
Yeah, which use, weird facts and stories to teach people about
science and history.
Yeah, to make it fun.
It's so cool. I love that.
It's really clever.
Because it's so easy to just focus on...
The sensational.
Yeah, the sensationalism.
Right.
But Ripley's always had this educational element woven in.
It's subtle sometimes.
Yeah, but it's there.
Yeah.
And it's like... Even the most bizarre stories
can spark curiosity.
Yes.
And get people wanting to learn more.
And that brings us back to...
The auditoriums.
The auditoriums.
Which are not just museums of the bizarre, they're carefully crafted experiences.
Yes.
Designed to amaze and educate.
Like they're saying, come for the shrunken heads.
Yeah.
But stay for the fascinating cultural insight.
Exactly. And the way they combine those weird exhibits with those uniquely designed buildings.
Yeah.
It's just...
It's Ripley's magic.
It's pure Ripley's magic.
It is.
It's so cool.
Now, before we dive headfirst into the auditorium, let's take a moment to kind of reflect on why they're so captivating.
Okay.
What is it about these collections of oddities that draws people in?
Yeah, what is it about Ripley's that keeps people coming back for more?
I'm ready to explore these auditoriums.
Yeah, they're landmarks of the bizarre.
They really are.
You know what's really cool is that the first auditorium actually came from Robert Ripley's personal collection.
Really?
Yeah, he traveled all over the world, collecting weird stuff, writing down strange stories, and
it was all driven by that same curiosity.
Exactly, that same insatiable curiosity.
That we see with Ripley's today.
Yes.
Now, his first public exhibit was at the Chicago World's Fair in 1933, right?
That's right, he called it Ripley's Auditorium.
And it was a huge success.
Over 2 million visitors.
Wow.
People were just drawn to all those strange and wonderful things he has.
It really solidified him as, the guy.
Yeah, the modern-day explorer of the bizarre.
And paved the way for the permanent auditoriums we have today.
Exactly. And speaking of the permanent ones, the very first one opened in St. Augustine, Florida.
Right, in a historic castle. Which is just perfect.
It's like the perfect setting for Ripley's auditorium.
Because it's already, like, mysterious and historical.
Right, and it's what sets these auditoriums apart from regular museums. They're meant to be these immersive experiences.
Yeah.
You're not just looking at things, you're encouraged to, like...
Interact.
Yeah, explore, question what you're seeing.
It's like stepping into a Ripley's cartoon.
I know, right? It's like three-dimensional.
You're surrounded by all this weird stuff.
Shrunken heads, illusions, strange things from all over.
It's amazing.
It's sensory overload in the best way possible.
And then there's the architecture, too.
Oh, don't even get me started on the buildings.
The buildings themselves are unbelievable.
Like that one in Orlando that looks like it's sinking?
Yeah.
Into a sinkhole?
And the one in Thailand with a plane crashing into it.
Right. It's incredible.
It's crazy.
They're like taking the unbelievable and building it.
And the fact that there are auditoriums all over the world.
I know.
It shows just how universal.
Yeah, it's a global phenomenon.
This concept is.
It really is, because no matter where you go, people are interested in the strange and unusual.
It's that shared human experience.
Exactly.
Just being drawn to these things that challenge our understanding of the world.
Ripley's just taps into that sense of wonder.
Better than almost anyone.
I know.
And it's crazy to think that it all started
with that little sports cartoon.
With a sports cartoon.
Yeah.
But it's become this global phenomenon.
I know.
It's a testament to
curiosity, exploration.
That desire to believe in the unbelievable.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
I
think it's important to think about,
okay, why are we still so fascinated by Ripley?
After all these years.
Yeah, why are we still drawn to those strange things?
I think maybe it's because in a world that can feel
mundane and predictable?
Yes, exactly. Ripley's gives us a little bit of something more.
Yeah, a bit of magic.
A little bit of mystery.
It's like a reminder that there's still wonder out there.
Exactly.
Waiting to be discovered.
And that there's always something new to learn.
Yeah, the world is so much stranger than we think it is.
And more wonderful than we can imagine.
It's a beautiful thing.
It really is. So the next time you see a shrunken head or a two-headed calf, remember, there's more to Ripley's than just the shock value.
Okay.
It's a celebration of curiosity and a reminder to embrace those wonders of the world.
No matter how strange they seem.
Because that's what makes exploring so much fun.
Exactly. A 1765.